Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Rachel Williams begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Tasmanian swimming sensation Ariane Titmus has made history, running down American legend Katie Ledecky at the World Titles in South Korea. These are the closing stages of the race, where the 18-year-old upstaged one of the all-time greats to claim gold in the 400 metres freestyle, a swim that stunned everybody except her teammates and her family. A coronial inquest into the fatal shooting of a Tasmanian man has heard details of the 000 call made before his standoff with police. Robert McInerney was armed with a knife and had told emergency operators that he hoped to be shot.
Robert McInerney was shot in the abdomen and leg by police during a standoff at Kui in 2016. He died in hospital. On day one of a coronial inquest, counsel assisting John Ransom outlined Mr McInerney's mental and physical health prior to the incident. Coroner Olivia McTaggart was told Mr McInerney was an abuser of alcohol with chronic pain due to arthritis. He'd previously threatened suicide and was on antidepressants. The court was also told of a call Mr McInerney made to 000 hours before being shot. He told the operator he was armed with knives and ready to throw them, and that he hoped to be shot. The inquest also heard Mr McInerney was cornered before moving towards police waving a knife. Officers told him, "Stop or we will shoot." After capsicum spray failed to subdue him, 4 shots were fired. The inquest is likely to run through until Friday, with the coroner's court to hear from police officers at the scene, healthcare professionals, social service workers and those who knew Mr McInerney personally. If you or someone you know needs help, call Lifeline on 13 11 14. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
The Glenorchy RSL is likely to be sold off after the club went into receivership and closed over the weekend. It owes money to staff, suppliers and the tax office, but RSL Tasmania is guaranteeing the future of local Anzac Day and welfare services.
All was quiet at the Glenorchy RSL today. The front doors locked, a sign greeting potential patrons reading closed until further notice. The popular club handed to receivers and shut down as it faces financial troubles.
Look, a lot of it's to do with the economic downturn that we're going through. Not many people have got much of a disposable income these days, and that has a lot to do with it.
The state branch says the local club owes money to suppliers, the tax office and staff. Workers out of a job and out of pocket.
We would hope that the RSL sub-branch remains in some form and some service to our community. That remains to be seen.
RSL Tasmania says the building itself is likely to be sold, but the Glenorchy branch will live on in some form and Anzac Day services will continue.
But it may, as I said, come down to a traditional sub-branch where they operate out of one office to maintain the commemorative services and the welfare that we actually offer to serving and ex-serving members.
But for the Glenorchy RSL's 260 members, this community hub is now gone. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
As students across the state go back to school this week, authorities are issuing a warning to drivers to slow down in school zones. Police say they'll be monitoring behaviour such as inattention and parking offences, reminding all road users to drive to conditions.
Obviously, Tasmania Police, our priority is to ensure the safety of not only school children but pedestrians, motorists and the general community.
Officers are patrolling in school zones and surrounding areas using both marked and unmarked cars. Rogue Speaker Sue Hickey is reigniting the debate about the size of Tasmania's Parliament with an inquiry probing the issue today. But while some are pushing for the number of politicians to be increased, the government says the cost is excessive.
A parliamentary inquiry set up today examining the Parliament itself and whether the 1998 decision to cut the number of members should be reversed.
1998 was an assault on Parliament and on parliamentary democracy.
Political experts giving their opinions on how a larger Parliament can function better with more room for scrutiny.
A front bench that realises that it has to keep the back bench at least on side, because if it doesn't, it can lose control of it.
In the way the government has lost control of Sue Hickey. She's hit out at her own government's performance on health and housing. Now she's speaking out on the size of the lower house, concerned it's just acting as a rubber stamp for legislation.
I find that a terrible worry that it's rushed through.
Indeed.
The majority government can just push it through, and then our only hope is that it's scrutinised upstairs.
For Aboriginal organisations making their own submission, pushing for 2 seats to be set aside for Aboriginal members.
It's about time, given everything that's happened to Aboriginal people, isn't it time to have an Aboriginal in the Parliament?
But the government says increasing the size of Parliament would cost $8 million to set up and an extra $7 million a year.
Tasmanians would expect us to be focusing on schools, our hospitals and of course community safety rather than more politicians.
Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's Firefighters Union says it wants another 6 full-time staff based on the northwest coast to provide backup to current units. The demand formed part of a public demonstration which also called for the government to bump up its offer of a 2.1% pay rise.
There are only 4 firefighters available at either station for immediate response at any one time. We need to address those staffing levels.
Firefighters say they will continue to respond to all call-outs and, true to their word, a crew left the demonstration early to attend an alarm. Results from a new survey reveal that SUVs are now the most popular passenger vehicle sold in Australia. Commissioned by the RACT, the survey compares 140 cars with the aim of finding out which is the most economically friendly to drive.
Every year we do the running cost survey and we look at the price of purchase, depreciation, on-road costs, servicing, tyres, insurance and everything that goes into owning a vehicle.
While SUVs are the most popular type, they aren't the most affordable. The cheapest car to own and run is the Kia Rio S, with Tesla's Model X being the most expensive.
And Launceston have brushed aside suggestions of flag favouritism despite overrunning fierce rivals Lauderdale. The Blues are the talk of the competition, with the side's young players looking right at home at TSL level. Flying high after another dominant win, but it's still too early to mention the F word at Windsor Park.
You probably don't want to talk about it at this stage, but the group's confident and we know that if we keep playing good footy, then anything's possible this year.
Now well and truly the form side of the competition. All eyes will be on the Blues against North Hobart this weekend to see if they can continue to live up to the hype.
Just the experience into the young players. Start of the year, I think we had 10 to 12 debutants, so they've all played 15 games now and are getting more and more experience each week and are starting to really become good players at this level.
The reigning premiers may have got themselves back on the winners list with a 30-point victory against Clarence over the weekend, but the Bombers coach still sees plenty for the group to work on during the bye week.
I think it's a total. I mean, defence, offence, stoppages, I think those 3 forms we've got to improve on to match Launceston, Lauderdale and Glenorchy come September.
Whitford also adamant the side can still shake things up at the business end of the year, despite their shock loss to the Tigers in round 15.
I wouldn't say it's a form stunt. We've lost 3 games of footy for the year, so what more do you want this group to do? I mean, we've had a changeover of 15, 20 plus players, influx of young kids within our group. I've said it all year that it's going to take us the back end of the season to get it right.
Following the bye, the Bombers take on Launceston in round 18. And the votes are in for the RACT Insurance Player of the Year in the TSL after round 16, with North Launceston young gun Sharon Egger judged best on during the side's win over the Roos. Glenorchy's Ryan Banks-Smith earning the 3 votes in the Pies cruisy win over North Hobart. And a 7-goal haul from Mitch Thorpe was enough to see him notch up the votes in the Blues' dominant victory over Lauderdale. To the leaderboard, and Blues midfielder Fletcher Seymour has gone 2 votes clear of Brad Cox-Goodyear and Hayden Smith, with Thorpe sitting a further 3 votes back. To soccer, and Hobart Zebras coach Dave Smith says the club is in a rebuild phase, despite taking points off ladder leaders Devonport for the 3rd time this season, with a 2-2 draw at KG5 yesterday.
Club that's probably had the same group and we haven't been able to produce them. Lots of good coaches, lots of good players, but haven't been able to put it together consistently, and that's where we're at.
Smith also taking exception to the referees allowing a last-minute goal to Devonport, which saw the Strikers salvage a draw.
I'd like to see what happens if there was a VAR in Tasmania where Reynolds was on the goalkeeper when the ball went in. He wasn't interfering. I'm not sure what the linesman saw, but he didn't obviously see it, or didn't think he was interfering, even though standing on top of the keeper. But that's what it is.
The Zebras are currently sitting 3 points behind South Hobart in 4th spot on the league ladder and take on Clarence this Saturday.
Good evening. After a cool start, temperatures mostly finished above average. Hobart and Friendly Beach is our top around the state with 18, Launceston and Burnie 15 and Devonport 14 degrees. Grove and Ouse 17 today, King and Flinders Island 16, St Helens and Smithton 15, Low Head a high of 14. We did have low-level convective cloud that moved over the west today and in the north, building in that northwesterly airstream ahead of the next cold front. Behind the oncoming cold front, there is a cold pool of air over the Bight. An area of middle-level cloud lingers over the New South Wales mid-north coast caused by a surface trough, and an onshore stream has cloud drifting over the Queensland coast. Tomorrow, the cold front crosses Tasmania early with a westerly flow to follow ahead of a surface trough. A high-pressure ridge dominates the mainland with the exception of a couple of troughs. Winds mostly northwesterly at 25 to 30 knots before shifting westerly later. Swells at 6 metres in western and southern waters. A strong wind warning is current for all coastal waters. A small craft wind alert for the lakes. We have a bushwalkers alert for the Western and Central Plateau districts. A warning to sheep graziers for all districts apart from the Upper Derwent. Also a minor flood warning for the Meander and North Esk, a flood watch for the Macquarie, South Esk and Derwent, a road weather alert for snow-covered roads for the Western and Central Plateau overnight and in the morning. Now for tomorrow, a top of 12 for Hobart, a shower or two developing, a shower for Adventure Bay 11 and just 8 degrees for Tarraleah. Launceston, a top of 11 degrees with a few showers, a windy day for Devonport as well with 12 the high and 11 for Bridport. Burnie tomorrow can expect a top of 11 degrees with showers, strawn, some possible showers and storms, 11 degrees, 11 also for Marrawar with that same forecast, 12 the high for St Helens with a few showers, a shower or two clearing from Swansea and Whitemark, showery and windy and 13. On Wednesday, fine and partly cloudy over the east, showers for the west and north with snow as low as 500 metres, showers increasing over the west and north on Thursday, and on Friday showers extending throughout but mostly clearing by evening. Partly cloudy weather for Perth and Canberra tomorrow, showers over Adelaide and Melbourne, sunny and mid-20s for Sydney and Brisbane. Clear in Hobart, 14 at the moment, 12 in Launceston, mostly clear, bit of cloud over Devonport and 13. Bureau have told us snow tonight down to 400 metres in the south and to 600 metres in the north. It'll lift pretty quickly over the next couple of days though, Rach.
Bit of chill in the air indeed. Thank you so much for that, Murph. Well, that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. Good night.